Okay, I'm just going to quickly show you how to use the live map for satellites. So under content, under activity 7 satellites, when you get into the content, you're going to scroll down. You're going to come to a link here. You will be investigating satellites in Earth orbit using a live map. So I'm going to click on this live map and I'm just going to quickly go through. This thing is so super cool. So this is most of the satellites that are orbiting Earth. Um, and you could spend, quite a bit of time looking at how super cool this is, and a little bit scary, I must tell you. So I'm just going to give you a quick um, uh, introduction on how to use this. So when you open your page, you're going to find the most difficult thing about it is that you have to scroll up and down. But that's okay. So you're going to see the top here, live map of satellite positions. I want you to click off project onto plane so that you just have a nice view of our Earth. Oops. And then you can scroll back up, and this is the 3D globe view, but I want you to go through just to see what these look like. So you click on world map, and it does take a little bit to load up. This shows you the position of satellites. These are satellites that are in orbit around Earth. And what's really cool, you can see them slowly moving, that this is constantly being updated. You can see the time is showing here. And like I said, you can just spend a tremendous amount of time. When I clicked onto the new view of world map, show labels, show tracks showed up. And I can clear that off so it doesn't get too congested. Or I can put them on. I can show the track. So this is the orbit um, that this satellite is moving in. I can show labels, which is really cool because then I can also click on these and I can find information about these satellites. Okay. There's the world map is one that I want you to be familiar with. You can click on satellites that are above your horizon. We're not going to use that one so much. Although you should notice this name here because this is going to be important that these satellites are all called Starlink. Then you've got your 3D globe, which is the one it automatically loads up with. And again, it automatically goes to this project onto plane. We don't have to. You can spin this globe, you can spin our Earth around. Again, you can hover over these dots and you can click on them. And these are all satellites, guys. These are all satellites, right? Click on them, click on them. What type of satellites they are? Well, if we go up and we are in our 3D globe view, we scroll down and we can see that things are highlighted. So what is highlighted right now is GPS operational. These are navigation. So there's navigation satellites and they're listed here. There's communication satellites, there's Earth monitoring satellites, bright satellites, recent launches, scientific satellites, space and earth science, which is cool, miscellaneous as well. So you can click on individual ones, which we'll be going through. So right now Hubble is clicked on and Space Station is clicked on. If I click all those off, you can see there's no satellites showing up on our planet. Okay. If I go into planetarium view, this is quite cool because this is when we're looking at our stars and what we would look if we were looking up into the night sky. And so again, because I changed views, it's showing labels, which is kind of cool because you can see your constellations, but then you can also see these green GPS satellites. Oh, there's a Plutoid. GPS 6. Again, I can click on these and I can get, oh, not in the planetary view, sorry, you cannot get information. But if I scroll down, I can see that it's got GPS operational. Let's just click those off and our screen should be clear. And then we're just seeing our constellations. So then there's search overhead passes, which we're not going to use. So I'm just going to go back to the 3D globe view and I'm going to click off project onto plane, and I'm actually going to scroll down and I'm just going to look at Hubble. So I just want Hubble Space Telescope. So I scroll back up and I go, where is Hubble? There's Hubble, HST, it's right there. Hey, this view is pretty cool, but I really want you to go to the world map view. And again, what's going to happen is it's going to reset. And so you have to, unfortunately, go back and take off the space station, click off the space station, click off the navigational ones. Those are automatically put there. And then I'm looking for, there it is. So it looks like it's just traveling over the ocean, but just left South America. So there's a Hubble Space Telescope on our map. So I can click on that and I can find some information about it. If I click on more info, because I do want you to do this, it's going to take you um, out of that page, which means you're going to have to reset it when you go back. But there's some interesting information about when it was launched. It's operational because you'll find some satellites are not. Um, who the owner is, the United States, where it was launched from, a number, an ID number, NORAD, which you're gonna get into a little bit later, and see when the Hubble Space Telescope is visible. Now you can investigate into this information if you want, and I do want you to spend some time on these pages, but I just really want to introduce you to what you're going to do. So taking that project onto plane off, you're going to go back now and to go through, I will have these written down so you can summarize these. So you're going to start selecting um, satellites. I want you to do recent launches. So you click on recent launches and you go back and you go, hey, okay, this is kind of interesting. And you're just going to see what are these recent launches. And remember, you can zoom, or not that you can remember, I'll show you, you can zoom in, right? That's the maximum you can go. You can rotate the globe. And I want to look at these satellites. And it just says OneWeb, and there are different numbers. And I see Starlink, EOS, another satellite, another satellite, another satellite, another satellite. So I want you to click on a couple, right? And I want you to read about them. Well, what's OneWeb? More info. Hey, the owner is United Kingdom. Is operational, but it's not really telling me what this satellite is doing. Hey, it's a recent launch, but I'm not sure what it is. You'd have to do further research on that to investigate that. We are going to look at the Starlink ones and learn about those. But you can see all of these that were just recently launched, which is interesting. You'll see some satellites are on an orbit further away from Earth, and some are closer. Okay, so I just wanted you to get an idea of recent launches again, because sorry, I keep forgetting about this. Every time you move out of pages, you've got to reset it. So I'm going back to my recent launches, and like I said, we're going to be spending some time looking at the Starlink. So I want you to click on a couple, two, and just look at the information and just get an idea. You're just gathering information. You're learning about this. So then when you click off research, recent and launches, and then when you click space stations, you may say, "Oh, I think there's only one space station." Nope, there's not. So what we have here are space stations, and space stations are capable of supporting human crews, but that doesn't mean they are. And so I see Mirror here, and I can click on Mirror, and I can click on more info, and I can, it says it's operational. It was launched in 1998, and it doesn't say owner, but I believe it is Russian. So you can learn some information about these satellites. Again, this is not the focus of the assignment. The focus is actually going to be like really on your awareness of these satellites, and that you can actually see live where they are right now, um, and can actually go and look at specific satellites. So then I'm going to click on Hubble. Love Hubble. And again, we see Hubble there. This is my 3D view. I love the world map view. Of course, when I click on world map, it's going to take away, it's going to reset again. So I have to go back. It's a little bit of back and forth, but that's okay. You see how far the Hubble Space Telescope has moved. Again, I can click on that. It tells me some coordinates, altitude. It's 543 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. And then I can see some things, some details about the Hubble Space Telescope. Really, you would have to go and do a Google search to learn more about it, but it does give you a little bit of information. Again, when I click back on, I have all the satellites showing up here. But again, I'll write these down on the ones that I want you to look at. So we looked at space stations, we looked at the Hubble space, and now I want you to go back to the 3D globe, go off the project onto plane, and then I want you to click off all these. And then I want you, are you ready for this? I want you to click on Starlink. So they talk about these being bright satellites. Starlink is actually a communication satellite. But watch what happens when I click on Starlink. Are you ready for this? Okay, uh, that's a lot of satellites. And that's why we're going to investigate Starlink. So if I look at Starlinks, I'm like, wow. Okay, so this is interesting. These are all satellites that are orbiting our Earth, and they're all called Starlink. Okay, world map. It's going to reset on me again. So you have to go back, click off Hubble, space stations, GPS, and just click on Starlink. And there they are. I just want you to digest this a little bit, okay? Because we got a new problem here. So that's just one type of communication satellite. Again, I just picked one to focus on, um, and this is the one I chose. We could have picked any of them and to investigate, but we will be going back to Starlink. But just get an idea of these are all satellites that are in our orbit right now. Okay. So now I want you to go through and you're going to look at each of the different types. So you're going to look at an Earth monitoring satellite, but now there's just freedom. You're just getting information. You're learning about these satellites that are orbiting, and kind of you're starting to get information too about what they're doing. So Earth monitoring, I love the Weather Channel, so I'm going to clicking on a weather one, and I'm like, whoops, I'm going to scroll up, and yeah, that didn't work so well for me, but I could zoom out, play around with that, but I actually am going to go to my 3D globe. It's going to reset on me again, so I'm going to go back and click all those off. And remember, I was doing an Earth monitoring one, and I clicked on weather, and then I'm going to scroll back. Oh, that's not too bad, but this is kind of interesting. So I could click on this one, learn some information. I want you to pick one. Doesn't matter which one. I want you to pick on it. I want you to record it. I want you to write some information about it. This one talks about the altitude is 827 kilometers. You don't need latitude, longitude. I do want you to click on one more information. And it's a weather satellite search and rescue. Argos data collection system. So there's a couple of categories, and this is the owner, European Organization for the Exploitation of Meteorological Satellites. Big name. Okay. It was launched from Kazakhstan. Okay, so just what the launch date was, 16th of September 2012. So it's not like I'm going to test you on this, but I want you to be knowledgeable because everyone's going to choose hopefully a different satellite. And I just want to give you that freedom just to investigate one Earth monitoring. Then you're going to go down to communication and you're going to select one communication satellite. So let's say I think, oh, that sounds kind of cool. I like that name, Iridium. Leave it. You can leave it on the 3D view if you want, or you can switch it back to the world map. It's your choice, or you could play around with other ones. So again, I'm looking at, oh, there's quite a few. So I might say, oh, there's quite a few iridium satellites that are orbiting, communication satellite. I had to think about what that was. Going to click on one. We'll pick one. Um, Looking at its altitude, I want you to record where its altitude is. Record its number, Iridium 63, more info, and then you're going to write down some things about this. This happens to be owned by the United States. Um, Flight ended, so non-operational. So it's not functioning, but it's still up there in the sky. So this is when we get into like this space junk, space debris. So it's up there orbiting, but it's non-operational, and that's good. I want you just to write that down. Okay, I'm going to click all of these off again. And then I'm going to go to a navigation one. I'm going to get you to pick one. Don't know, I don't care which one. Maybe you want to do the Russian uh, Leo navigation. You can look at this. You can pick one, click on it, click on more information. This one has got a higher altitude than the last satellite we looked at. But you're just gathering information. Again, I'm not testing on this because everyone's going to choose a different one, but I want you to get familiar with it. I want you to know of the different types of satellites that are out there orbiting Earth. Scientific satellites, pick one. Of course, I'd love you to pick space and earth science, but you can pick any one. Maybe you want engineering, maybe you want education. What are the educational satellites that are up there? That's cool. We got some educational satellites. Flying laptop. Well, that sounds interesting. So you might want to investigate that. You could also Google search it to say, hey, I want to learn more about that. And then I want you to pick one miscellaneous one. CubeSats are really cool. Like these guys are the size of I have to think. They're quite small. I want to say the size of like a Kleenex box. So there's satellites out there that are getting really really small, and we're going to learn about that too. So that might be an interesting one to investigate. So you're just getting information, and I'm going to give details back in the content section. They will be written here. I just was making this video because I want to link this video. This video will be linked right here. Of course, I'm making it so it's not there. But for this assignment, you're really getting familiar with satellites, which are wonderful for, especially for communication or internet. But are we going to run into some problems with the amount of material, these satellites that are in our orbits? Okay, that's it. That's how you're going to navigate through the live satellite map.